You should have an experience this semester in this course. It's going to be a story and experience that none of your peers at any other school is going to be able to get. A number of really exciting differences between this semester and previous semesters. One is a historic connection with Kalamazoo College. I think another big difference is we're really leaning into a sense of professionalism. All those things about being a student, lectures, being passive. I'm gonna rub it into the piece of paper. Just do it with me. And now we're gonna crumple up. Gone.
I'm super excited for this semester. It's gonna be an exhausting but probably happy ending.
I think day one, it was appropriate that we set a pretty serious and intense tone. And we set expectations. It's important for students to know they're going to be working hard. It's going to be tough. They're going to be uncomfortable. We had to set that stage up front. Today, which is our day 2 together, it got a little loud. I think it might have not sounded like a serious private equity business in here today, and I apologize to anyone working nearby in the building, but hopefully they liked the feeling of the buzz, literally the vibration in the floor that was going on today. But we had a number of warm-up exercises of getting to know each other's names, something about people, some crazy games that we played that just were icebreakers. It's so important to build relationships up front. Sometimes we want to dive right into the work, but once you have a relationship and you have trust, from there you can really do great things. To the best of my knowledge, we have never done anything like this before. This is the first of its kind. It's crazy because our campuses are right next door, and yet it's like we're 2 different islands. Students don't really have that many friends and acquaintances at the different places. They don't overlap that much. You'd think we would, but we don't. So it was really heartwarming for me today, especially when we did a number of interactive exercises, to see the students really connecting. It started out a little quiet, but once we got into the games, it quickly, the decibel level quickly rose. And you could just see by body language, students getting comfortable going up, talking to people they didn't know, making an effort not to stick with people from their own school. And it really felt genuine. Even after the little exercises, I was giving so much time for them just to talk with one another. The conversations kept going on. It's almost like they felt they didn't want to leave. So it was a really good feeling today. The next step's going to be they'll really need to be integrated on their teams. They'll be working very closely with the teams. I'm not sure how much they'll be working with other students, other analysts, I should say. But I think this was great bridge building. I think it built mutual respect, mutual trust, and just general feeling of young people coming together and liking each other and interested in each other's stories.
So how's everybody doing?
Right.
Great to see so many smiling faces. Hopefully you guys had a great kickoff meeting and are ready to go. I think I promised you that we would be moving really quickly semester, and it's true to form. So I'm going to give about a 1 to 2 minute overview of where we're at and what you're going to need to do. And then I'm going to introduce Kevin, and he's going to share some words of wisdom for you on how to get through your first deliverable and maybe some other principles of business success. So Thursday, you have your first deliverable due. It's outlined in the project overview document. I modified that document based on our calibration meeting with the managing partners yesterday. So all of the pieces and parts of that deck that you'll need to prepare is in that project overview tab, which is also in the playbook. To accomplish that goal, you are going to need to watch that video that we recorded with the client and consult the whiteboard that we created with said client, and then answer those questions that you've been posed in the project overview. If you can go above and beyond the data that is and information that you've collected from the whiteboard, you can do that. But don't go above and beyond and not deliver on being able to clearly communicate and show you have a command of the situation that the client is facing and the kinds of questions that you're being tasked with. Teams have been broken down into 2 work streams. One is focusing on a segment related to speed and working with the client to make sure we have a very clear project statement and question by the end of the week that we'll then share with you. And the following week will all be about your issue tree and developing a structure to start to think about how you're going to attack your problem. So we're lucky to have Kevin Carmody here today. Kevin is a senior partner in the transformation practice at McKinsey. McKinsey is a world leader in advising organizations and growing organizations. He's been an executive mentor, so he works alongside our CTLs for the last several semesters, and he's doing it again this semester. Kevin is lucky enough to be here today, and so he's going to spend about 10-ish minutes, 15 minutes, sharing with you a few lessons on how you kind of start where you are, which is having limited understanding of a question and a client, getting up to speed quickly, and being able to be effective as you go through your engagement. So why don't we welcome Kevin?
Yeah. Well, I'll spend just a few minutes talking. Thanks. It's great to get in front of all of you. I'll say a couple of things. So I am a Bronco, an old Bronco. I will say the head coach of the hockey team played when I was here. And there's still at least one Professor David Burney that is still here. So I'm old, but not as old as you might think. But I thought maybe I wanted to talk a little bit about McKinsey, anchoring in the fact that I'm a Bronco. But McKinsey has given me some just a great opportunity to do a bunch of things, including consulting, which I'll talk about. But the first thing I want to discuss is, I think I met Doug and Derek before COVID, so this would be November of 19. And the McKinsey platform is phenomenal because it's given me the opportunity to be a guest lecturer at schools like University of Chicago, Northwestern, Wharton, and I'm doing work with Harvard and Notre Dame right now. So I see a lot of different schools. I don't know, and I've said this at each one of those stops along the way, I don't know of another school that has a program as unique, as impactful, and as powerful as what you're doing at LBS. And I say that from the standpoint, first time that we sat down in the fall of 2019, and Doug and Derek were saying, we've got a program that's going to enable our students to not only learn how to consult on live engagements with real clients, they'll get a chance, I'll use McKinsey terms, to be an associate and do the work, and then also be what CTLs, or what we call engagement managers at McKinsey. You just don't see that in a real world environment. Where you do see it at McKinsey is students in basically your tenure coming in and being summer interns, or coming on board as a business analyst or an associate and doing client service work. So the overlap with what you're learning today and what you would do at McKinsey, and I would argue probably BCG, Bain, and the other consultancies, the correlation is close to 100%. So I think that is just something that's really distinctive. And as this program gets more on the national stage, and you're starting to see alumni that are going out there getting terrific starts to their career, you all know this already, but I think you've just got a unique opportunity that I would take seriously, because there's a lot of students that are out there that don't get this opportunity because the colleges don't have it. So that's the first thing I would say. If I put my senior partner hat on for a little bit and talk about guidance I would give to each of you, it's the same guidance that I give to business analysts and associates every day of the week. And it basically says, from my standpoint, clients hire us at McKinsey because they've got difficult problems that they cannot solve on their own. And I think you have the opportunity to work with a real client and take a step back. So even though it's a classroom setting in many instances, think about the opportunity you're going to have to basically influence how a company operates and give real insights. So what I have said is, when we kick off engagements, I ask everybody on the team to, in the first instance, understand what the problem statement is. What is it that we're trying to do? I can tell you when I got out of college, sometimes I wouldn't ask the question. What I've learned over time is strength is actually clarifying the position and making sure you're crystal clear on what the ask is. It saves time later. And if you understand what the problem statement is and what the mission is and your scope of work, it's going to make the work that you do much easier. Because at times, and I even feel this as a senior partner at McKinsey, there are times when these problems are so complex that I don't know the answer on day one. That's okay. But if I understand what the scope of the work is, and I have a real thoughtful approach to how to unpack that problem, I'll get to a solution. And for those of you that have worked alongside me over the past 3 years, I say, think on 4 sides of an issue, not the first instinct that you have in your mind. So I would say as you start the work that you're doing, understand what it is you're trying to accomplish, And even if you have what we call a day one hypothesis, I think the answer is X, immediately flip that and say, is there somebody across the table that would argue the exact opposite to the hypothesis? That's a different form of thinking. It's a problem-solving framework that we use at McKinsey. If you challenge your brain to do that a bit, you'll be, I would say, try it and see if you get to a better answer. That's just how you start. The second thing is take it seriously. Like there's something that I think is truly rewarding in the work that I do. It's when I'm sitting with a client and I give them a point of view. And that point of view would be, have you thought about the following? Maybe there's a different bit, you're a consumer company, maybe there's a different business segment that I think you can actually compete in effectively and hopefully dominate the market, and you've got the right people to do that. And if the reaction comes back at me that they hadn't actually thought through that, that's pretty impactful, and then we work together on the solution. Equally exciting, I would say, is as a consultant, you always don't have to have the contrarian view. So there might be instances where they're doing the right thing and you agree with them. That's fine too. I get as much satisfaction out of that as well, but I bring the substance behind it. So I would say taking it seriously, being very structured in how you're thinking about it is important. Challenge your thinking, making sure that you're not going after the first answer, but you want to get the optimal solution for your client. And always assume, even though you're in college, assume there's a lot on the line. I think that for every client I go in front of, I know that McKinsey, they're hiring us for a reason. There's a lot at stake. People's careers, their satisfaction at their job, the share price, the experience across a broader organization, that's a lot at stake. So try to, if you can, create that environment in the work that you're doing this semester. And then afterwards, when you look back, my hope is you're going to say, you know what? This is fast and furious. I broke it into 13 or 14 weeks. I took a very structured approach. For those of you that are CTLs, being able to inspire your colleagues, classmates is really important. And my hope is at the end of the semester, you're going to say, I didn't think we could actually do that. We achieved something that I didn't think was possible when I started this semester. We got to an answer that is very different than what I thought we'd get to. I mean, we can complicate consulting all we want, but that is essentially why, that's why I've stayed in this practice for over 20 years, is because that type of excitement, I feel like I'm going to college every day. I get to think every day. I work with some really interesting people, including all of you. So I would reinforce the opportunity that you all have that builds on the foundation of LBS. These are things that I think are going to contribute to your career long after you graduate from Western or K College. So it's just a tremendous opportunity.
My name is Fynn Lohse and I'm on Team 4 as the team leader. Last year I was in a relatively small team and with Kamola and Jordan. Over the semester we've exceeded and not met expectations, so it was kind of a roller coaster. And towards the end, we didn't finish in the top 3, but we had a very strong slide deck to present, and I got awarded with the Emergent Leader Award. Winning the Emergent Leader Award was a very cool experience because you got rewarded for 1 semester of hard work, and all the effort and time I put in, it paid off because I got a $2,000 scholarship as well as recognized as the Emergent Leader. And my leader last semester, Jordan, and then his leader, and I think the leader of his leader won all the Emergent Leader Awards. There's definitely a little bit pressure to carry on that Emergent Leader legacy. Jordan led by empowering the analysts, and I'm trying to do the same because I'm a doer. I like to do all the work, but in 40-10, that's not really my job. My job is to empower my analysts and become the best analysts they can be. So I will have to let go while also making sure that we get the results that we want to.
So maybe like instead of if price tag, you say if like over budget or something.
Yeah, true. If over budget, that's better.
I'm Team 2. CTL this semester, I'm in 40-10. Completely different. Now I actually have to go out there and lead the team. I used to be on the team, but it started out with a different company, a different question. Every semester is different, and it's always a gray area. You never know what's going to happen next, even though there's a schedule planned out. You never know what's going to happen, what's going to come out of this opportunity. So I just really wanted to take this to step out of my comfort zone, do something I've never done before. This is sort of my first time. I've played sports my whole lifetime, and I play lacrosse right now at Western Michigan. So I'm a leader on that team, but this is a much different setting. I don't get to lead by example anymore. I actually have to lead by doing and telling. And it's definitely a little out of my comfort zone because I've never been the talkative type. So I just had to step out of my shadow and really get my voice heard. Today we had to do interviews for our analysts, so me and my other team lead, Peter, had to sit down, do 2-on-1s with our analysts, each one individually, ask them a couple questions, get to know them. Definitely enjoyed them. They all have sports backgrounds, which is nice, so we have something to connect on, but it's a little different. Instead of working side by side them, now I have to direct them and show them the ways of 30-10, 40-10, even though this is only my second time going through this. My biggest challenge personally is getting people behind what I'm saying. Sometimes I'm a little scared of what people will think about what I'm going to say to them or what my thoughts and opinions are. So this semester I'm really diving deep into getting people to follow what I'm saying and having confidence in myself and what I'm saying, not just sitting back in the shadows and listening. I really want to get my voice heard and make people want to follow me.
My name is Sophie Davis. I am a senior studying sales and business marketing and leadership and business strategy, and I'm a CTL for Team 3. I joined LBS my second semester of my freshman year. I was coming out of psychology, and I knew I wanted to go into management and take a management position one day, and my advisor brought to my attention LBS, and from there on I started to learn more and more about the program, and I realized how big of a community it was, how much it prepares you for the business world, and just how much it changes you. And yeah, I'm really thankful for the experience, and it made me just break out of my shell so much more and become a leader I never thought I could be, but always dreamt of being. My experience as an analyst was a bit of a rocky one. I mean, they call it the jungle for a reason, so I was definitely getting caught in those vines and those trees and those bushes, everything you could imagine, but it would definitely taught me a lot, and it definitely made me have to really change my whole life, but the end result was very rewarding. As a leader, reflecting on my time as an analyst, I learned what my CTLs didn't do for me that I really wanted, and those were things just preparing more and communicating more with us. So having that time as an analyst, I got to see what worked and what didn't work for me, but it also allowed me to open myself to questions like that for my own analysts and ask, okay, what works for you guys and what doesn't work for you guys, which has really allowed for this team to, I think, be on a really good path and successful path. My goal for the team is for them to just grow. And I think there's not really a numerical value on it, but more of a value of, did they step up to the plate? Did they start wanting to lead through the discussions? Did they want to start leading through the presentation and creating these decks and just leading it? And that's what I'm really looking forward to seeing. You have to lead through example and knowing that you're going to make mistakes, but you have to come back up and fix them and own up to them and just do your best. And we're all out here failing, but we can't succeed without that failure.
So a retrospective is really simple. It's 3 simple questions. And I'm expecting my team leads to take notes as what they hear, because listening is an incredibly important skill as a leader. Not talking, listening. So there's 3 questions. What worked well in the sprint? So our sprint is this week. What worked well? Second question, what didn't work so well? And then the third question, by the way, those are for the analysts. And the third question then goes back to the CTLs, and what are we going to do different going forward? Okay, it's really simple. And it works really well when everybody talks. And it works really, really well when people write notes and do something about it.
Clear expectations.
Clear expectations.
Asking questions.
Asking questions.
Being prepared before meeting as a team.
Prepared as you come in as a team, so you know what we're going to work on.
Getting help.
Open and honest if you need help, which means you have a trusting relationship. People care about each other. You're actually going to become friends at some level. You don't have to be best friends, right? But you got to be friends at some level for a good team to work. All right, let me pivot. What didn't work well? Honesty. Let's hear it. Procrastination.
Disconnection.
Give me a little bit more. What was disconnected?
So, like, completely splitting up work and not putting heads together in some capacity.
Okay. We go our own ways, and we really don't know how we're going to bring it together in some cases. Okay, good?
It's kind of uncontrollable, but like differing schedules.
Differing schedules. Aligning schedules will always be hard, but it's hardest at the beginning because you got to get people synced, and once you get synced, it's a little smoother as you go. How about we didn't really know what Doug and Derek wanted us to do? Can somebody say that out loud, please? It's okay. Anybody else feel that way? I feel that way.
Yep.
Okay, and if I can't explain it to you what they're going to do, then I feel like I got to. That's one of my things I want to make sure we get better as well.
It was a hard start of just kind of jumping in.
Hard start, jump in. Yep, it's a fast start, fast and complex. Were you told that in the introduction when you first got here? Yep, it's true. Fast and complex. It's hard. There will always be contradiction. Amy, Doug, Derek, and Craig are very different people with very different experiences and very different personalities, which makes a great diverse team and creates contradiction and respectful opinions, right? So it's going to be hard. We're going to do our best to make that better in sync, but the reality is it's going to be like that everywhere you go. So I will tell you what I learned from last semester is Doug and Derek and Amy want to help you as much as you need the help, but you have to come to them. You have to ask them for your time, and you need to continue to ask for their time. And they will schedule it best they can, but if you wait on them, you're late. Iterate, iterate, iterate. Keep asking questions. CTLs are going to run this retrospective from here on out, just like this. Everybody's personality will be a little different. How they run it, that's okay, but it's the same basic questions. The actions are, analysts speak up. You've got to say what worked well, what doesn't work well. CTLs listen and do something about it. Now, we can do something about it as a big team in some cases, but in many cases, you can do something about it in your team. So when you guys next get together, I'm hoping that you as the analyst ask the CTL, what did you hear in retrospective and what are we going to do different in our team? And you should be doing that every post-retrospective. Makes your team better. Opens communications, creates transparency. A very simple, rapid technique.